don't know if you know this, but I kind of dig superheroes. As long as I can remember, when I was a kid, I loved reading, I loved comics, and I think it's natural that I gravitated towards superheroes. If you were in the poster room, if I take you for a tour, there's all kinds of heroes mixed in here and whatnot. Action figures. Some people out there calling them dolls. Action figures. Love the idea of the struggle of the superhero, why they do what they do, coming up with these crazy, mind-altering stories. We're here to talk about 3 films that are one film broken into 3 parts to end the current animated universe from DC. If you're a Marvel fan, you've probably heard of DC as one of their main competitors in the comic space, the main competitor, I guess, outside of, obviously, there's manga and there's things like that have blown up in the graphic novel side of the business. But DC, unlike Marvel, has stayed committed to cranking out a lot of animated films. Some good, some absolutely great, some horrible. This new run of films has had some very big debates about the animation quality, and I agree. It kind of fluctuates between brilliant to very stiff looking. But the storytelling's been pretty fun over the last few years. Now they're wrapping it up with James Gunn diving into the DC universe as the new lead. I feel like I'm already ranting. Comics! We're here to talk about these. Based on one of the most infamous, I guess you could say genre-defining creations, especially in the DC universe, Crisis on Infinite Earths. The original comic, which essentially DC realized that they had way too many characters and subplots and other multi-dimensional beings and crazy amount of universes, and they just had to wrap it all up and tighten their storytelling. So they came up with this mind-blowing tale at the time, combining like thousands of these different characters and stories they had created, ending a whole bunch of them and building a new prime storyline. And it's weird, I haven't seen anybody talking about this, and maybe it's because a lot of times in the geek space, in the film space, in whatever space in the world, negativity wins. If you haven't noticed on this channel, I will talk how I feel about stuff. I will sprinkle in a little bit of negativity from time to time, but I'm definitely not one to go scorched earth on everything. I just don't like engaging in those types of conversations, at least not constantly. And when something like this comes along that I think is actually pretty good, it seems like no one out there is talking about it. So we're going to talk about it here. This is a really good animated film. I think it's a really good comic book film. Like I said, the animation style, you're going to have moments probably where you really connect to it, moments where you feel that some of the movements, like the action scenes, go from being extremely stylized to sometimes the character is moving and they're kind of like, it's just very, very strange. But overall, a really enjoyable film. I think the first and last one are much stronger than the middle. The middle part is definitely, it feels like a bridge. Sometimes you feel that. I mean, John Wick had that, where some of the films they had all this action stuff, but it was just kind of like moving you towards the ending, if you will. That's kind of what the middle part is. It's bloated with some really elongated action scenes that didn't need to be there, that just go on. Like, there's a part where they're fighting these shadow beings and they just like literally keep coming back so they can keep fighting them for an extra 20 minutes. Outside of that, though, there's some really cool stuff here. How they wove this story not only into this animated universe, but the prior animated universe. There's shout outs and call outs to some of DC's history throughout the years. Honestly, I found myself just chuckling and smiling during some of them in the third part. I was not expecting it, and they just basically throw out all this nostalgia berries everywhere, and I'm not gonna lie, I was eating those nostalgia berries. Adapting the story was always going to be tricky. You were never going to be able to do it exactly like it was, especially with what they were trying to do. But I thought they kept a lot of the core elements in there. And the first movie especially had some real emotional gravitas with the Flash storyline. And then in the third part, with where it builds, what these solutions are going to involve, the sacrifice, heroes, giving it all for the greater good. I mean, it's all there. Everything you love about it, the grand adventure, the visual spectacle, giant screen-filling villains, lights exploding everywhere. And altogether, this is, I think, around a 4 hour and 45-minute film. That's impressive. I don't think that'll maybe ever be done again. Like I said, the second one they definitely elongated to get a few more bucks out of it. I mean, those are steel books. I'm sure a lot of folks like me bought them. I thought the direction was really good. The voice work is phenomenal, including a couple of shout outs to the history of DC through voice work that I was not expecting. Hit me in the feels, loved it. I'm really excited to see where DC animation goes from here. I was a huge fan of their New 52 animation, even though that series of comics really was hit or miss for me. But I loved that series of animation. Some of the best superhero stories straight up have been in the DC animated universe. I loved the end, the New 52. They just went hard, and I mean hard. It was an R-rated, extremely violent, complete end. They like blew their world up. It was crazy. And to even try to top that in this one was pretty impressive. They obviously got a budget to do it. They got a lot of freedom to use a lot of characters and a lot of stuff that obviously DC and the heads up there gave them a shot at it, and I think they took it and ran with it. Just a nerd note, my favorite Crisis, Final Crisis. They killed Batman. That was bananas. Spoiler alert. Turns out he was just displaced in time by eye lasers. Kind of a cop-out, really. As a whole, I kind of have to rate it on all three movies together. I don't think I can separate it. So as a whole, I'm going to give this entire film a 7.5 out of 10. It really hit a lot of highs for me as a comic book fan. I think it's a great end to this new run of animation. Like I said, the animation itself, little here or there, but the action looks great. Voice work, writing, top shelf, direction great. I think overall quite the accomplishment. Not perfect, and every hardcore comic nerd can nitpick here or there, but a great effort, a really big swing, and I respect what they tried to do here. I'm definitely going to revisit this many times. Till next, folks. Thanks for watching. Oh, like, subscribe, and all that stuff.